Okay. Yeah, welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we share the real stories behind leaders, builders, and hands-on entrepreneurs who are shaping their industries with purpose. My guest today is Laura Weston, an award-winning business and intention business and leadership coach, founder of Venture Coaching International, and the world country dance uh, champion. For over 30 years, Laura has helped business owners master their mindset, strengths, relationship, and create sustainable success. He has also a certified psychodelist guide using breakthrough mentors to help leaders transform not just their business, but their life. Let's dive into the incredible journey and the lessons she has laid about conscious leadership, balance, and self-mastery. Once again, the pleasure having you on the show, Laura.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So, Laura, what was it like growing up?
What was it like growing up? Uh, well, I grew up in southern Ontario in Canada and in a small town. And my growing up was interesting, actually. My parents divorced when I was about 9 years old. And so I had to deal with that situation, which, 40 years ago was, well, it's always a big deal. But at 40 years ago, there was a lot more stigma attached to it at the time. So I had to start, navigating that, which to be honest was difficult. I felt ostracized, by peers. And so school, was very difficult for me. I got bullied a lot. And of course, the home environment was challenging. But, I also had a very supportive father who I got to see on a regular basis because we were in a small town. We only lived a little ways from each other. So the connection and the support with him while I lived with my mother was integral for I always felt loved and supported and knew he was there no matter what I needed. So and so that helped. And then my dad and remarried, and my dad and my stepmother were also very dedicated to being in service. They were in service in their church, they were in service in the community, and I think that's where that was role modeled for me. In fact, I know it was. So I grew up understanding being in service, and I've made a career of being in service. I started in social work and in counseling, being in service to families and young people. I transitioned that 20 years ago into business and leadership coaching, but it's still all about being in service and all about helping people be the best they can be.
Wow. I think now I'm not getting to see how you came to be inspired about what you do owing to the parents you have around and the community service you see every now and then. And that's pretty amazing. So before becoming a coach, what kind of job experience helped you understand people and leadership on a deeper level?
Sorry, can you say the question
Yeah,
again?
before becoming a coach, what kind of job or experience help you understand people and leadership in a deeper level?
Oh, before becoming a coach, well, that's my counseling background. I have a master's degree in social work. I started off in the trenches, if you will, in the child welfare system, working with children and young people and their parents. That's really always been compelled to work with people. That's just the kind of person I am, and that's where I gained my experience to begin with. I was 12 years in the non sector. And my master's actually is where I studied management administration because I've always been fascinated in leadership. So originally, I thought my career was going to be about moving up into leadership positions within the nonprofit sector. But then I started to evaluate that idea. I hired a career coach for myself to try to help me with my thinking and to explore options. And my husband had his first business at the time, and I could see how stressful running a business is and how it taps every aspect of our being. our mental abilities, our emotional abilities, our communication abilities. It's taxing and it's a pressure cooker because as a business owner, you're there trying to, supporting your family, but then also running a company where you're responsible for employees and even their families. So business ownership is a pressure cooker that really taxes people. And when people are taxed like that, they don't always show up as their best selves because it's hard to be your best self when you're also so stressed. And so that's when I started realizing that and seeing that from an intimate place, I thought, this is where I want to serve. I want to, these business owners are out to make a difference in the world and it's very stressful. So how can I show up and help them be the best versions of themselves so that they can have a better business and ultimately stronger families and the people in their organization can be stronger as well. So that's how that all evolved.
That was really, really amazing. And you have worked with business owner across North Africa, across North America for decades. How did you see leadership evolve over that time?
Sorry, how did I see what?
Leadership evolve over that time.
How did I see leadership evolve over the years? Well, I think leadership has evolved because my perception of it when I first started a business and leadership coaching and the perception that I grew up with actually. My dad was a vice principal, and so he was in administration, but in the school system. And he actually had a very negative belief about business that was shared with me. His belief that business is bad and business owners are greedy and selfish and they're just out for themselves. And what I discovered is I think that element exists in the business world, but I think it has evolved where business owners, it's not about greed. Business owners have created a business and are building a business as a form of self-expression. And yes, there has to be profit involved or else the business won't continue. But their businesses, in my experience, are really about their self-expression and about contribution and making a difference of some kind. And so with authors like Simon Sinek talking about higher purpose in business and, Robin Sharma as well, and then Team Effectiveness by Patrick Lencioni, I think business has really evolved into that arena of how do we use business as a vehicle for making a difference in the world. And that's what I think most business owners that I encounter anyways, that's what they're really about.
Wow, that's pretty really, really amazing. Being that you saw a different perspective compared to growing up, because I know that would have challenged a whole lot of perception growing up. Especially the part that the way you view entrepreneurship before and the way you later came to accept it, and it's really amazing. So, at what point did you realize that mindsets and emotional mastery are as important as business strategy itself?
When did I figure that out? As soon as I started coaching. Because what happened for me was I was coming out of the nonprofit sector where clients were given to me, transitioned into coaching. And although there's lots of similar skill sets in the delivery of coaching, all of a sudden I was running my own practice, which meant I had to find my own clients. And that started testing my mental and emotional abilities. I learned very quickly that I had a whole bunch of messed up beliefs about sales especially and what a sales conversation is. I had these beliefs about sales being pushy and slimy, and then I had thoughts around being an imposter in the boardroom. Who am I as this little social worker at the time, now being in a boardroom coaching an entrepreneur? So I had all kinds of beliefs that were running the show, actually, and taking my emotions on an emotional roller coaster. And plus the pressure of wanting to contribute financially to my family, it was a big risk to move away from having a regular paycheck into earning my own paychecks. That was scary. We had young children, and I was very concerned about not putting all of that pressure on my husband. So, yeah, emotional roller coaster with huge ups and huge downs, you betcha. Mindset stuff going on, holding me back and driving me crazy, absolutely. And so, what I learned is I had to get control of that. I had to manage my mindset and emotions first. And then I realized, well, all this stuff is going on for me. It's going on for my clients. They're in the same situation. So I had to learn it first so that I could then bring that. I had to walk my talk so that I could then bring that to my clients and help them learn how to do that as well. So that's how that came to be.
So you have mentioned that at one point of your life, you looked successful on paper, but still fell flat. What was happening inside during that time?
What was happening during which times?
At one point, you mentioned that at one point in your life, you looked successful on paper, but still felt flat. What was happening inside
Oh,
during?
yeah. So my husband and I, we've been married for 33 years. We both run a business. We've raised our children. They're launched and doing great in life, which means we're empty nesters. We've been chugging along. We have a home that we love, but it just felt like we were just kind of doing life. At us from the outside, yes, we looked for successful. We've got a home on a lovely property. Our kids are doing great. We've been married a long time. All these things that people typically define as successful. So when you look at the outside, I'm a world country dance champion. So it lots of indicators of success, but on the inside, behind the closed doors, we were both feeling like we were still kind of coping and gotten to a place in life where is this it? Kind of thing. And so that's what I mean by kind of feeling flat. And we were both wanting, something more. We're still, relatively young. And, hopefully we've got a good 30 years left in us still. And I just didn't, I just wasn't happy with the idea of thinking that this was all there was for the next 30 years, and wanted to create something more and something bigger and take our lives together and our businesses to a whole new level. And that's actually how we discovered the psychedelic realm. Is a colleague of mine has saved his marriage through psychedelics and has really taken his life and relationship to a whole new level. And despite all the personal development work that my husband and I have done over the years, we felt there were certain blocks that we still couldn't get pushed through. And so we decided to try this avenue. It has been absolutely profound for both of us. It is transforming us. We're actively involved, where it's transforming us personally, it's transforming our relationship, and it's bringing greater insights into our businesses and transforming our businesses. So it really is affecting our entire lives, and it's been incredible.
Wow, wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. Thanks for sharing. So many people fear looking inward or confronting their limiting belief. How do you help clients overcome that resistance?
The resistance to it, well, by exploring it, I mean, we have to be, people had to be open-minded first. That's really the key. I mean, there's limiting beliefs in all of us, and it's part of the human condition, and they come out of how we're raised, they come out of our society and our religious systems. They're all around us and they become internalized. So in order for someone to really take that on, the first step is about open-mindedness. And so I don't work with people who aren't open-minded because they're just not coachable. But If they're open-minded, then they're coachable. Then we can start to discover the limiting beliefs, because sometimes we're aware of them and sometimes we're not. They're in our subconscious. So one way of discovering our limiting beliefs is listening to our language, because what we're speaking is a reflection of what's going on upstairs in our brain and in our subconscious. So that's one of my roles as a coach, is to be an exceptional listener, because as I'm listening, I'm hearing my clients, literally hearing my clients' thoughts. And as I hear their thoughts, I'm able to reflect, capture it, reflect on it with them, bring it into their awareness, because often they're sharing their thoughts, but they're kind of unconscious to them. And so it's with awareness building of the thoughts and the limiting beliefs, we can then shine a light on them and we can start to dismantle them, so that those limiting beliefs aren't in the driver's seat of our lives anymore. We can get them into at least into the passenger seat, or better yet, kick them out of the car. And that's another place where the psychedelics are really helpful, because the psychedelics can help us gain access to our subconscious and help bring beliefs that we weren't aware of to the surface, and can help us actually resolve those limiting beliefs and kick them out of the car, like I said earlier, so that they're no longer controlling our lives, or we're not feeling like we have to manage or cope with them. We can actually disappear them, if you will, so that we can move forward faster.
Wow, this is so well, it's even the fact that we just make a fact of them willing to share what we have experienced as been now, everything that's going on, just hearing them still what they want to be saying. You get to see their limited deliver. And I think the first step from what you just said, speak out. Because if more like the client should look after him, he doesn't speak out about what is going on internally, it will be difficult to actually more like decode what the limited beliefs and what a solution you could actually more like propose to. This is really getting to know that, yeah, the first step is actually more like reaching out and speaking up. So, what does
Yes.
conscious leadership mean to you today in a fast-paced business world?
Conscious leadership, I find that, first off, a lot of leaders are in what I call reactive leadership. They're so busy, there's so many things going on in their day, and they feel like they're just putting out fires. So they're in this reaction, fight or flight mode all the time. And they're not being effective ultimately, and they're pushing to try to make things happen. Conscious leadership is about moving into a state of greater self-awareness, greater embodiment, knowing who we are authentically and what are our gifts, and that we can bring to the world through our business, and and it incorporates mindfulness as well, so that we can know ourselves better and be more conscious of how we're showing up and how we're behaving, who we are being in the world. There's a great book actually that I've been reading recently called Plan B, B-E. And the author talks about how we live inside a world that is actually a broken paradigm. The paradigm of needing to do a whole bunch of things so that we can accumulate wealth and accumulate as much stuff as possible, so that hopefully we will be fulfilled or happy one day. And that paradigm just keeps the hamster wheel going and keeps us pushing and keeps us striving and making things feel hard. Whereas if we change that paradigm into, who do I want to be in this world? Who am I in my authenticity? And then doing things that are aligned with our authenticity, then, the haves tend to take care of themselves. So conscious leadership starts with a paradigm shift out of do, have, eventually be, into be, do, have. So that's where it starts, and then it becomes consistent execution of aligning our actions and our behaviors with our authenticity.
Wow, this is really amazing. And we found that the importance of parallel shift when it comes to being a cautious leader compared to the reactive type. In that we're in a fast-paced world and easier to be a reactive leader means that we just want to accumulate things, start thinking quickly on what those things could actually amount like doing. But the paradigm shift could actually amount like the whole way of actually seeing things. Yeah, seeing things and reacting from the perspective of being, sorry, acting from the perspective of being conscious of what you're doing, not just reactive,
Yes,
and showing up without.
exactly.
This is really amazing. So, from your experience, what are some common mistakes leaders or small business owner make when it comes to communication and relationship?
That's a switch in topic.
Forgive me.
So one of the biggest mistakes I see leaders making is not listening enough. Business is about relationships, relationships with our business partners, relationship with our employees, relationships with our clients and customers, and then our relationships at home with our spouses and our children. So business really is about relationships. And relationships are strengthened and forged when we come at them from a philosophy of seek to understand before being understood. And I find that a lot of leaders, because they're so reactive and just go, 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 put out fire, they're just telling all the time. And they're just wanting people to hear them and take their instructions or do as they're told. And they're not taking enough time because they feel rushed to listen. And so that's what I think leaders really need to learn how to do. And then the other mistake that they make is because they're leaders and they become leaders because they're great problem solvers. I find one of the mistakes that they make is they try to solve other people's problems for them. They take an employee, for example, comes to them and says, well, I have this problem. And they say, oh, well, just do this. This is the answer.
Uh,
And two things happen when they do that. One is they send a message to their employee that their employee is not capable of solving their own problems. So they limit the growth of their employees by solving all their problems for them. And the other thing that creates is dependence on them as leaders. If they don't coach and guide and help their employees learn how to solve their own problems, then their employees are going to keep coming to them for them to solve their problems, which just makes their employees dependent on them and then takes their time and energy away from the other things that they need to be doing. So that's another big mistake as I see in leaders is they have a great strength in problem solving, but they take that strength too far when they try to solve too many problems for too many other people and prevent them from learning how to solve their own problems. So I actually teach my leaders how to coach. I teach them how to have those coaching conversations so that they can develop their people to be their own problem solvers. And that frees up the leader's time to then focus where they need to focus.
this is really amazing of doing the thing that once you could actually make your employees believe in themselves and being able to solve their problem. As the leader, at the end of the day, you have a whole lot of free time off when you could actually focus your energy on different things compared to solving everyone's problem. This is really the key. So, how can younger professionals or trade people begin to develop leadership and emotional intelligence earlier in their career?
By investing in their personal development. The sooner, the better. There's tons of books out there to guide people. One of the books, around the communication piece that we were just talking about, one of the books I love is called Leader Effectiveness Training because it teaches communication skills. Thought leaders like Robin Sharma and and Simon Sinek and Wayne Dyer. I mean, there's all kinds of experts out there. So invest in your personal development. I find leaders have invested time and money in their professional development. They've become experts in their particular skills. Professional skills, but I find that they haven't put the same level of investment into their personal development. That's actually a bigger payoff. There's a bigger return on that investment, actually. So invest early, invest in an ongoing way in your personal development, whether it's reading or hiring a coach. Because although we can read and go to workshops and what have you, sometimes I find sometimes what happens is no matter how great that workshop is or how great that book is, once we put the book down and go back to the office, it's hard to integrate. It's hard to keep the lessons moving forward and really make them a part of our everyday lives, because as soon as you're back in the office, the chaos is there again. So having a coach is someone who can listen, understand, teach some of the skills, and help people integrate the learning into their everyday lives and keep it consistent, because it's the consistent practice of the skills that they're learning that are going to make the difference. And that's where I find is one of the biggest breakdowns that people struggle with is they love the ideas, they get the value of it, but they have a hard time applying it. And that's one thing that coaches can help them do, is help them apply their learning, no matter how they're getting their learning.
Amazing, amazing. And thank you for making progress of that. I think it just speaks volume to personal development as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Kind of be overemphasizing that everything rises and falls on to the benchmark of the knowledge you know. And yeah, what you know, especially at how you actually communicate and how you lead your team. So
Mm-hmm.
aside investing in everything, the best investment would be as a leader that you invest in yourself, because everything is going to rise and fall on how they perceive you and how you communicate. How you, this is it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what?
Yep.
So what is one of your favorite success story from your coaching practice that still inspire you today?
Oh, one of my favorite success stories. About 3 years ago, I started working with a gentleman. He has a a SaaS company, so he has a small business where he integrates software into his clients' companies and helps them use it more effectively. And he was at the end of his rope. He had had his business for 10 years, never gotten it to the point where he wanted it to be, it was just himself. He was feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, financially not where he wanted to be, and was basically considering walking away from his business. But he wanted to give it one more try. So we started working together. And now, 3 years later, he has a team of 5. He's making more money than he's ever made before. And he has spent the past year really solidifying the foundation of his company. And next year is going to be all about growth. And now he's talking about launching a satellite office in another country. He and his wife are going to move to Britain from Canada. He's going to keep the satellite office or the main office here in Canada, and he's going to launch a satellite office in another country. So that's a huge transformation from where he was at 3 years ago. So it's just, and it's so fulfilling for me to be able to see someone thriving, to help, to have been he's done the work. I mean, I've, guided and challenged him along the way, but ultimately he's done the work to get himself from that place of hopelessness and thinking he needs to walk away, to a bigger, bolder vision that he is taking action on and creating for himself and his staff. So that's, when I get to see that and be a part of that, that's really, really fulfilling. So that's one of my favorite stories.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Yeah. So as someone who has helped people find purpose and regain traction, what are your tips for managing time and energy effectively?
Managing time and energy effectively? Is that your question? Okay. Well, Energy is very important, and we manage our energy, I believe, through self-care. As we acknowledged earlier, being in the business environment is a pressure cooker. And we're give, give, give. Our attention is everywhere, and we're giving of our energy. And so lots of my clients, when I talk to them about self-care, they say, oh, I don't have time for that. It's like, well, it's self-care, and they consider self-care a luxury, but actually it's a necessity. And I talk to people about their energy being like a well, because if you're giving from the well all the time, then what's going to happen is your well is going to run dry. And we don't refill our well by going on a vacation once or twice a year. It's just not enough. So self-care of some kind is very important for managing our energy. And it's individual to everybody. Sometimes self-care is about meditation. Sometimes it's about getting out in nature and just going for a walk. Sometimes it's about taking a class that you want to take. Sometimes it's about sitting, reading. Whatever your self-care looks like, we have to remember it's a necessity, not a luxury. Because if we want to continue to give to our business, to our employees, to our customers, we have to give to ourselves first. And then around the time management piece, again, lots of people say, well, I don't have time. Well, that's a limiting belief. And we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The issue is, how are we using those 24 hours? How are we structuring them? So self-care also looks like getting enough sleep, getting proper nutrition, drinking lots of water. And then on a time management perspective, we have to block our time. I find a lot of leaders, they'll put their appointments or their meetings in their calendar, but they don't set meetings with themselves. They don't set meetings for their own productivity time. They don't set meetings for their thinking time, for their planning time. So everything needs to be blocked. Stephen Covey used to talk about blocking your rocks, and there's videos on YouTube that talk about that as well. And I love that concept, because everything we need to do, all the things that are important to us, are the rocks in our life. And so we have to block our rocks into our calendar. And when I'm talking to my clients about this, I have them block their personal rocks first. They always want to block the work rocks. I'm like, no. The schedule will fill up with all the work rocks, and there's going to be nothing left for personal. So I have them reverse engineer that. We block the personal rocks first, and then all the work rocks get blocked in afterwards. And I find that when my clients do that and then practice it consistently, then they get in charge of their time, they feel better, and they're way more productive.
Amazing. I think this is very, very key. And I think applying this balance between personal well-being and ambition, being able to balance the both of them. Yeah, it's really, really very key, because definitely, as much as we say we don't have time, everyone will definitely find time for what they love. And just viewing this from that particular perspective, just being with themselves. If as a business owner and entrepreneurs to avoid the burnout, you have to seek some sort of time. Yeah, and just sit with yourself and revisit some things and have a good rest. Yeah, very keeping that being a business owner is very demanding. Yeah, there's no time to rest. So you just have to block us.
Exactly,
Randomly
yes.
fill out your times and doing. Yeah, this is really key. So, and finally, Laura, after 3 decades of helping others grow, what does success and fulfillment look like for you?
What does success look like for
Yeah,
me?
success and fulfillment. What does it look like for you?
Success for me is getting to do all the things I want to do. I'm very motivated by experiences. And so, whether that experience is something going to the movies, whether that experience is walking in nature, being on our boat, water skiing, going dancing, I love all kinds of different experiences. And so, success for me is about being able to share in the experiences of others and their success, which is helping my clients, be more effective leaders of themselves and leaders of their companies. I get a lot of fulfillment over out of helping other people be successful. And then in return, I get to be more successful. And how I apply that is getting out and doing some weird and wonderful things sometimes. So it's really a balance between helping others be successful and enjoying experiences in return.
Oh, that was really good. It's the fact that much
Mhm.
as you're helping others, you have to figure it out yourself. That's the business owner. You have to help with it. Yeah, I remember
Mhm.
ready and yeah, and very, very well for you to achieve one. This is really amazing. Oh, so Laura, how can our audience learn more about you? How can they connect with you? And how can
Yeah, well, I love to stay connected and I love to have conversations. So, one of the best places for people to find me is at my website, which is venturecoaching.ca because I'm in Canada, and on LinkedIn. So, just under Laura Watson, or I do have a LinkedIn page called Venture Coaching where I share lots of information and resources. And my website has lots of resources as well. There's a free, so people can go to the website and download free ebooks. And there's also a blog where, a podcast page where I have done other interviews similar to this one, on other topics. And so if they have an interest in tuning into some of those other conversations, they could also have a look at visit my website for that as well. So those are really the best two places to find me these days.
so that our audience, thank you so much for the enlightenment and have the conversation. We have shown that true leadership isn't just about achieving goals. It's about understanding yourself, mastering your emotions, and living with awareness. To everyone listening, you can grab Laura's free business building toolkit at venturecoaching.com. The TM slash toolkit. Yeah, go to your mission. Practical guide to help you grow your business and bring back with that. This is the Aro Benaiah Show, where we celebrate doers, dreamers, and leaders making an impact with their hands and heart. And I'm your host, Aro Benaiah. Until next time.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. I know I have.
Yes, I do. Thank you.